All right, welcome to another exciting episode of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Got a very special treat today, special guest here. So before I introduce him, let me get my intro. Let's get it. Let's rock. All right, again, welcome to another exciting episode of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back on a Saturday. Can't believe, man, it's Saturday. I haven't done a show on Saturday in a minute, so it was good to be back. We got a lot to discuss and everything. So, everyone, if you are tuning in on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, BS3 Radio, BS3 Network, BS3 Network Roku channel. Like the pages, like the content, share it, and all those things. You know what to do. And I'm all over social media. I go through it every single week. So all I say now is, as Don McNabb says, Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, and you'll find it everywhere on all podcast streaming platforms, on social media as well. BS3Network.com is the place. So yeah, I'm always excited to discuss and just to debate whatever it is. Always willing to have a lot of good guests on the show. But without further ado, I got like I said, a very special guest. Had to bring in the heavy hitter once again. My real deal brother with the same name show, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Mr. Damian Adams himself is back on the show. He's got some new stuff going on too. So if you haven't been following him, let me get him. He's a podcaster, of course, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Check that great show out as always. He's also on the Rush Hour as well. That's a new thing that he's doing on the show. I know our girl Nikki Nick hosts that with him as well. It's on all podcast platforms. So Mr. Damian Adams, The Real Deal. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem at all, man. Thank you for having me. Like you said, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, that's my baby. I do each and every week. You can catch on any podcast platform. So wherever, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to podcasts, The Real Deal with Damian Adams is there. And Rush Hour, I do on Wednesday nights along with Nikki Just. We do it at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So you can catch it live on YouTube or afterwards on any podcast platform. But man, to be here with my real deal brother again, we was talking before the show. It's been a little bit too long, man, since we've done the show together, since before the basketball season. So I'm definitely here and glad to be here with you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, like I said, getting on the show once again, and doing this. And like I said, you've been doing a lot of different things with the Rush Hour. Talk about a little bit about that before we start into these topics. Except got a big fight, Davis Garcia. Love that the podcast you did with it. As we said, we're both big boxing fans, and we normally do something when the boxing season, when the boxing comes with these big fights and everything too. So I said, I got to get him on. So you just did a show last weekend with that. Yeah, a real dope article as well. But talk about the Rush Hour, how that came about, and how you got into that with Nikki, which I really enjoy. As you know, I've enjoyed all the things you guys did previously.
Yeah, so with Rush, the guy who's, I guess, King Rush, Craig is the leader of the Rush crew. He reached out to me. He had seen what me and Nikki were doing as far as on our old podcast, the 33 podcast, and had seen a lot of my stuff on social media, a lot of my short videos that I do as far as reacting to different, it could be a basketball game, football game, boxing match, whatever it is. I usually do like a quick reaction right afterwards. And he really gravitated towards that content and said he wanted me to be a part of the Rush team. And since me and Nikki already had a previous relationship and a previous working relationship as far as having that chemistry together, he was like, it'd be perfect for you to go and join Nikki on her show and, just add what you would add to it. So I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity. So now I'm working with them, and I'm working on Rush Hour. I also have been on their draft show. Their main show is called The Giants Guys, but now they're trying to expand beyond just Giants content. And that's one of the reasons they want to bring me on to expand beyond that. And that's what I'm helping with. But now they're trying to expand
Yeah,
beyond.
no doubt. I think that's dope that you said you and Nikki stuck together. I know you guys had the Third and Three podcast, and when I saw the connection with the Rush show, I was like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
it's still popping with the NFL, and wanted to make sure you guys said you guys are still doing some work behind the scenes and even like with the podcasting. So congrats on that. Jumping on
Thank you.
there, just you said, just more platforms just to get your content out because that's what we do. We grind and try to put as much content as we can. So congrats on for doing that again. Big shout out to Nikki just doing her thing
For
with the
sure.
content and all that too. She's killing it too. So congrats on both of you guys really pushing that. I know you said I know they do a lot of Giants. I've been on the show a couple of times and she you say expand because you guys talk about a lot of different things. Like you said, reality TV,
Yeah.
and not just football, basketball, and boxing, but reality TV. Because Nikki's a big reality TV fan, and so it's like
Yeah, we got to get
entertainment.
her on a Real Housewives show eventually. We got to get
Yeah,
her on.
yeah, she's gonna be on there sooner or later. I mean, she's
Yeah.
pushing. I know she did a fantasy football type of just like it was kind of like a reality fantasy football
Yeah.
type show, but she's gonna end up being a housewives of Jersey or something. She's gonna be
Mhm.
there. So, but big shout out to the Rush team. That's dope. That you guys are able to get into that and do your thing with that. So, but let's get into this. Let's get into these topics, man. Like I said, big boxing. Like I said you're plugged in, tuned in with everything boxing. I always enjoy the commentary and the articles that you write. So if you guys haven't checked it out, check out Damian's article. Where he breaks down the big fight, Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia preview on the Third and Three podcast.com. So again, check that out as well. It was always breaking it down with a good eye and a good content with that. So let's talk about this fight, man. Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia. It's happening. Ryan
Yeah.
Garcia, he pushed for this fight like many, and we talked about this before. He pushed for it, and now that it's here finally tonight, and Tank Davis accepted it. They're both undefeated, and it's gonna be a really great fight. But talk a little bit about the fight itself and break it down. I know you broke down your article, but break it down and who you think is gonna win. Who has to do what to win this fight?
Yeah, when you first think about the fight itself, it's such a big fight for boxing,
Mm,
right? Because we've complained for a while. I've been probably one of the loudest voices complaining about not getting the fights that we want to get, right?
yep,
And
yep.
I've been on your show saying we need to get the fights that the fans want to see. Or boxing eventually will be off to the side as just this thing that is over there, not completely dead, but just on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And as me as a boxing fan, you as a boxing fan, we definitely don't want to see that. And this is one of the fights that will keep boxing in the mainstream. Boxing will never be where it was when Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier were going at it. It won't be the most popular sport in America, but it still has a chance to be on the mainstream when you have fights like this, because there's nothing like mano y mano, the best versus the best
Yep.
going at it, and captures everybody's imaginations. So for this fight, you're going to have everybody there. You're going to have the diehard boxing fans like myself. You're going to have the people who are just casual fans who want to see somebody get knocked out. You're going to have the people who just want to be part of the event, right? I've gone to a few Mayweather fights. There's a lot of people there just to say they went there, just to be a part of the crowd. So you're going to have, this is that type of event where everyone wants to be a part of it in some type of way. And that's what boxing needs. So I love that for this. And as far as the fight itself, with Ryan Garcia has such a natural talent for boxing, especially with his hands, where I kind of compare it to a quarterback who can throw very easily, like a
Mm,
Patrick Mahomes. He can flick it 50 yards without the proper mechanics. Like he doesn't
right.
have to step into it. He just can literally throw his sidearm and flick it down the field. and just go, right? And that's how it is with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia can knock you out with a left hook, and it's not one where he's properly into the right stance. He dips and generates from the legs to the hips all the way through the punch. He literally could just flick that left hook and knock people out. He has that type of power. And Tank also has that type of unnatural power. Like he could be leaning on the ropes and catch you coming in the way he did, like Rolando Romero when he fought him, caught him coming against the ropes. He didn't even put everything into it, and still with a left hand was able to knock him out cold through the ropes. Both these guys have just crazy power, along with great boxing acumen. So when you combine those things, it really comes down to the details on who's going to win the fight. So when you look at the details of it, Ryan Garcia has to use his size. So Ryan Garcia is a naturally bigger boxer, right? He's 5'10". He has a 70-inch reach. And this will probably be his last fight around this weight because he's probably going to move up after this to 140 more permanently. And when you have that size advantage, you have to use it. There's a reason why Tank put a rehydration clause in the contract, which I think in a couple hours, Ryan Garcia has to reweigh in, and he can't be more than 145, if I remember correctly. The reason he put that clause in is that he didn't want Ryan Garcia being able to use that size against him. But even with the rehydration clause, he's still going to be the bigger guy in the ring. What he has to do is whenever Tank gets on the inside, push him away. Don't clinch, right? Don't clinch, because if you're trying to clinch, you can find yourself open, and all Tank needs is that split-second opening to hit you with something deadly. So Ryan Garcia has to make sure he uses his size, be the big dog, push him away. And when he does have him at range where Tank is too far to land a punch, but Ryan is close enough, that's when he has to let his hands go. You can't be scared. You can't just paw that jab out there. You got to really throw it out there. Use your straight right hand. Don't look for the left hook so much. I know that's his best punch, but don't look for the left hook so much, and really let your hands go at range. For Tank, he has to get on the inside. He has to get on the inside and make Ryan Garcia uncomfortable. Ryan Garcia, we haven't really seen him work on the inside, work in that phone booth type of environment where the fighter's right here on you, and you have to maneuver around and throw hooks on the inside, throw uppercuts, and really be in tune with somebody who is right there who can hit you. He usually has the advantage when it comes to reach, so he likes to fight from the outside. So Tank has to make him uncomfortable, get on the inside. Tank is a very good boxer, but if he tries to box Ryan from the outside, he's giving Ryan the advantage. He's letting Ryan be comfortable. So it's going to be a big thing in this fight of range and who's controlling the range. That's going to be a big thing. I expect the first few rounds to be very, very tactical and very technical, because both fighters are going to respect each other's power so much. They both know like the other person can punch for real. So they're not going to go in there and be reckless and say, oh, I'm just going to go in here. No, they're going to respect each other, and they're going to want to find certain openings to go in where they can do it without being at the mercy of the other person's power. So I expect a very, very good fight. I think that as the fight goes on, the boxing acumen of Tank will take over. He'll get on the inside. He'll be able to work the body and eventually punish Ryan enough to where I can see Ryan going down in the 11th round. So I'm going Tank by knockout, 11th round body shot. Very reminiscent of Bernard Hopkins and Oscar De La Hoya back in the day. Good fight, but eventually Bernard Hopkins was able to break him down to the body, and Oscar De La Hoya had no choice but just to fold up on the ground after that grueling contest. I can see this one going the same way.
See, this is where, like, boxing fans, I mean, this is why Damian is the real deal when it comes to this breakdown. You can't get this in a lot of different places. So we can tell like the passion of when these type of big fights happen in boxing, which we're rarely seeing day to day now and year to year. We're seeing maybe one or two a year over the last few years. But when we get these big fights like this, it has to be, discussed. And we're so excited to hear that. And I agree 100% with what you said with the entire breakdown, because I got Tank Davis winning this too. And I got him winning probably around that same late 10th, 11th, 9th, 10th, 11th round, somewhere around there. And I love the breakdown because you said Ryan Garcia, the thing is, like you said, he's the taller man. He's got the longer reach, and he has to stay on that. He can't let Tank get into the inside because if he gets on the inside, and starts as we say, collecting that data later on in those fights, using that
Yeah.
acumen, using that his skill of that nature, he'll get inside and dominate Ryan Garcia if he gets inside, and I think that's his best chance. But both of these guys, I've been watching a lot of, and like I'm sure you have too, watch a lot of commentary, watching a lot of
Yeah.
different breakdowns and YouTube videos, just because it's that back to a fight, and celebrities are going to be out there. They're going to be in Vegas, and they're talking about people like Justin Bieber, people that probably don't even like boxing.
Yeah.
This is the type of match that boxing really, really needs. And I know we always hear, oh, this is going to save boxing. Not one match is going to save boxing, but these are the type of fights that can bring boxing back, where the best likes the best
Yeah.
in their prime, undefeated. And even if one of them lose, depends how they lose. It's still they're gonna. It's a great career still. They'll still get big fights, big title fights. That's why I'm glad that these two weren't scared. And like I said, Ryan Garcia, he pushed for this fight,
Yeah,
and
it's been for
Tank
years. Yeah.
just accepted it and said, "Let's do it." And even when you hear that, you're like, "Yeah, they're gonna," because they're on social media, they're gonna be talking and everything too. But now they accepted it. It's here, and then they really gonna push this fight on, and I'm looking forward to it. But as you said, I think Tank has to get inside. Like I said, they're both fast hands, both have punching power, and it's gonna be a slow start. I think Ryan Garcia, hopefully he doesn't come out there and try to swing and try to knock Tank out in those first couple of rounds, because he said Tank, as the match goes on, he's going to adjust. He's going to make sure, okay, I know what he's going to do. Let me go ahead and finish him in those later rounds. So I think Tank will definitely do that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a big thing for Ryan Garcia. Like you said, with Tank, he's really good at downloading data.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't show Tank the same thing over and over again. One of the examples I used in the article was when Tank knocked out Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is a very good boxer, future Hall of Famer. And in that fight, you could tell that he was just trying to fight off Tank, trying to keep Tank away from him by volume of punches. And that is one way to go about it. Leo Santa Cruz, that's the way he fights. He's going to throw 1,000 punches every time he fights, and you love him for it, right? Because he's going to give you nonstop action. But against Tank, when he's doing that nonstop action, he repeated himself a little too much. He gave him the same look too many times.
Yep.
And the point where he got knocked out, he threw 3 straight right hands, and he threw them at the same speed and at the same target. And when he did that on the third one, Tank slipped it and landed one of the most beautiful uppercuts you're ever going to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And knocked him out cold, right? And I'm not exaggerating; like he was out cold,
out.
yeah, yeah. Like there was no need to count. Like bring in the medical staff. Like he was out cold.
That's it.
And yeah, so you don't want to show Tank the same thing for any amount of time. You have to make sure you switch it up.
Yeah.
So with Ryan Garcia, he has to switch it up where he goes to the body. If he does throw a jab, I use like Devin Haney as an example. Devin Haney is a master of changing up the tempo of his jab, where he can throw it. Maybe he'll do a double jab. Maybe it'll be a slow jab. Then there's a quick one. Then it's to the body. Then he's hooking off the jab. There's so many things you can do just off the jab alone. And Ryan Garcia definitely has to do that in this fight to keep him away from him. And then once you have Tank maybe thinking about that jab, that's when you can hit him with that left hook or catch him with a straight right hand, because you have him preoccupied with other things. So it's going to be a very interesting fight to see what adjustments are made throughout the fight as well, because we do have 2 good trainers as well in this one.
Yeah.
I think that this is what boxing needs. And like you said, one fight doesn't save boxing, but what you hope it does, it starts a trend. It starts a trend of, okay, we see that these 2 guys were successful in taking this risk. And now, like, there's a rumor that Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford is going to be announced tonight.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So if that starts this trend where now we get that one next, and that one's in a couple of months, then after that, we get Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. And after that, we get all these other fights that we want to see. We get Bivol versus Beterbiev. We get all these fights that we've been waiting for. That's what really will start the train going. So this fight can be remembered maybe as the trendsetter, not the savior, but maybe the trendsetter that got boxing in the right direction. And I also got to give a shout out to the women. The women in boxing have set this trend for a while now, with Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, and Alicia Baumgartner versus Michaela Mayer, and Amanda Cruz versus It was Amanda Serrano versus Erica Cruz. Like these type of fights where we had the best versus the best, and women have really put the men on notice. Like, okay, we got to start having the best versus the best as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you're right. I think this, and I was going to ask about the state of boxing, kind of answer that, but it's one of those things where you got to have the best versus the best because, not to compare to UFC, but UFC and boxing is always compared because combat sports.
Yeah.
The one thing the UFC, and we talk about this all the time too, the best do fight the best most of the time. And yeah, they much as you could either love or hate Dana White, whatever, but him as a promoter and as the president of UFC, he gets those fights. He gets those guys that want to fight each other. And these guys, some of these guys have multiple losses. They have like double digit losses, and they're still able to get the best fight. So, and as boxing, as you said, we grew up watching boxing and watching at the time in the golden era, the best fight the best, no matter what it was. They weren't scared. They weren't hiding behind promotion. They weren't hiding behind their social media, doing all that trash talking. So you said this could be a trickle effect, and we have the Devin Haney and Lomachenko fight coming up next month, which is another big fight, big names and big fight too. So this could, like I said, this could be a trickle effect. Hopefully, could be a trickle effect to get the best fighters fighting each other and not 10 years too late. And we talked about the Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fighting way too late. But now we're seeing the big fighters, and so fighting each other at this moment. So which is great to see. And just to get back to what you said about Ryan Garcia and staying on the outside and really using his reach and his footwork and things like that. Both these guys, and they both said that they're going to break each other's jaw too. So it'd be interesting if that actually does happen. But like I said, I think it's going to be a more technical fight in the beginning. And I think Tank will, just because he's Garcia's the bigger fighter or the taller fighter. Tank's got to chop him down, like chop him until make him small, and then. But you're right. I think a good point you said with Garcia using that jab at different levels, using it because Lennox Lewis was good at that too. He used it in different types of levels where he was the master of the jab, but people thought, oh, it's just a straight jab. Nah, he's using different angles. He's using different techniques. He's slowing up. It's like a pitcher. He's slowing it up, the pitching, and you just didn't know where it was coming. So hopefully Tank, if Garcia does that, hopefully Tank Davis will be able to, like I said, control that and say, okay, he's using different levels of the jab. I still got to watch out, you said, for that left hook, which is a dangerous punch that Ryan Garcia does have too.
Yeah, now the left hook is extremely dangerous and can come at any time. It's very quick. And like I was saying earlier, he doesn't have to do the normal things that other boxers have to do to generate power. He doesn't have to duck down. Normally when you see somebody get knocked out with a hook, it's off of a counter punch where the boxer gets to duck down underneath, come from down low, generate that power from their legs, turn their hips, and do everything that you see like in a boxing instruction video on how to generate power. With him, he literally just flicks it, right? In the article, I use an example where his opponent tried to hit him with a 1-2 from too far away and didn't calculate the range correctly. And when he did that, Ryan Garcia just simply threw a quick left hook, just turned his hand, threw it real quick, and knocked him out. And it was out cold. And it was like, wow, to be able to generate that type of power at that weight too. It's not like he's a heavyweight. These guys are 135 pounders. Being able to generate this type of power is crazy without having to do it on the proper technique. Kind of reminds me like with Roy Jones Jr., they called him Captain Hook because he could just throw that left hook at any point and knock somebody out. It didn't have to be off some type of great technical type of punch. It just real quick, boom, and you're out. So both of these guys have that special type of power where you're like, wow, it's crazy. And the thing is with Tank, we haven't really seen Tank tested in that way as far as his chin, right? I've been someone who's been critical of Tank when it comes to his opponent selection. I feel like at times they definitely took the easy route. Like Rolly Romero, like why did that fight even happen?
Why take that fight?
Yeah, so certain fights that he's had, you're like, why would you even do that? When you're at this level, there's no need for you to take on these type of fighters. And his best win is still probably Jose Pedraza, and that was 6 years ago now. So now you get to the point where you get taken on a Ryan Garcia, and it's like, oh, I don't think he's taken on somebody with this type of power before. So now we get to see if Tank has that chin that we think he has, or has he just been avoiding that type of power this whole time, and now we're going to see it exposed, maybe the lack of chin. There's a lot of questions going into this fight, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's an exciting fight. So, like you said, I saw the tweet. You said, go to a sports bar, go to
Yeah.
somebody's house, bring food, and watch this fight. Like
Mhm.
it's the live stream, okay, but make sure you go and catch this fight because it said it's a big fight
Yeah.
coming up. I know we'll be watching. We'll probably be tweeting on top of
Yeah.
that and our scores and everything, predictions and all that too throughout the fight. So I know me
And
and you are both looking forward to uh, this fight and others coming up. And like I said, hopefully with the state of boxing the way it is, we can see a trickle effect. Hopefully we do get that. I don't know if we're going to get the Bud Crawford Errol Spence announcement today or tonight. It'd be great. And that's
yeah.
the fight everyone we've been clamoring for that
Yeah.
fight, but we'll see if it comes to fruition. But yeah, there's so many fights that needs to happen, and you broke it down already. So, but this could be the start of it. So,
Oh,
great.
for
And you
sure.
said
And
shout out to the women
one,
too that who've been fighting each other as well.
oh, for sure. And the reason I tweeted that out is that we talk about how the fighters need to fight each other, but it's also
Mhm.
on boxing fans to make it worth it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So if we go out and we truly buy the fight and don't legally stream it, like buy the fight, and they do a great number as far as pay-per-view buys, we know they're going to do a great number as far as ticket sales. They're going to sell it out, and there's going to be a lot of very expensive tickets in the front rows that are going to be bought, and
yeah.
hopefully not giving away too many to celebrities for them to be there. Like, they got money, make them pay for it.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah,
so they hope they're going to do a great number there. If they do a great number with the pay-per-view buys, it's going to show other fighters like, okay, this is worth it. It's worth it to take on the best because I know even if I lose, I'm going to make a lot of money. And if
yep,
it's a good fight, I can get a rematch, or I can take on the next best guy and still be in title contention and still have a career after this. It's not the end of your career if you take a loss. Your favorite guy, Manny Pacquiao, had
yeah,
8, if I remember correctly, right? So
yep,
he still was able to be that star. Even now, right? I don't recommend it. I don't want him to come back. But even now, it generates interest when he says, I'm going to come back and fight Conor Ben, right? Because he's created that legend of he's going to be exciting. He's
yeah.
going to give you a good fight. Now, I don't want him to do that,
Me
but I can see
either.
that he's still going to make money doing it.
No, I don't. I don't. As much as I do enjoy, he's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I do enjoy Manny Pacquiao, but I don't want to see no. Just you're good, man. Just do the politics, do all those things.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the singing whatever you want to do. I don't want to see you back in the ring because I don't want to see him get knocked out or get, any of that. Just
Yeah.
get hurt or anything like that. You're good, man. You got family and all that. But you're right. It's one of those things like we have to, like you said, buy the fight. I know people they're gonna stream it. They're going to.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it on people gonna Instagram live it and all these things. But
Yeah. You're going
just
to do it on
buy the
TikTok
fight.
and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, buy the fight and just buy the fight. So we're both excited. So a couple of comments. Shout out to Brian Snowman in the morning, to my
Shout out to
favorite
my man.
broadcast homies. Respect. Yep, no doubt. We appreciate that. Respect you and the grind you do. And also, he said the real deal in boxing. Yes, definitely. That's why I had to get him on. We got to talk about this still, and all the other fights. So thanks for the shout outs. And I think it was a couple from Facebook too. But yeah, let's move on to a couple more, and then I'll let you go, man. Got to talk a little NBA playoffs. Man, it's already been crazy. Just want to get your overall take on this first round so far. I tell you, mine is like injuries to some of the biggest
Yeah.
stars already. I think that's been a big key. I think these flagrant fouls and these suspensions and things like that. I want to get your opinion on that too with Draymond and Sabonis and that whole thing. And there was just so much of that. I think that's been a big key to the playoffs so far. A lot of trash talking. Dylan Brooks trash talking with LeBron and everything. So it's all those things, and besides the games, which has been
Yeah.
crazy. But what's your overall take on the first round so far?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's so many other things we're talking about besides the
Mhm.
basketball. And I would love to get back to the
Yes,
basketball.
me
Right?
too.
That's,
Yeah.
like it's so much going on outside of it. And part of that is the playoffs because you're going to have that extra passion going on. You're going to have people giving it their all because they want to win a championship. And, once you get in the playoffs, you're playing the same team over and over again. So just naturally, there's going to be some animosity built up between the two teams. You're seeing that with the Nets and 76ers, like you mentioned with their flagrant fouls in their series. And obviously, Nick Claxton hates Joel Embiid with every being of his body.
Yeah.
It looks like, and they're set to go here, and I think they're the first game today, actually. So that series probably gonna be over after today. But you can tell just from the passion. That's what you love to see, right? That's one of the things that we missed during the regular season is this passion of competitiveness, where you might get it in a regular season game here or there when you have a certain team or a certain matchup on a certain night, but in the playoffs, it's each and every day you're getting this passion. And I love it. My favorite series so far has definitely been Kings Warriors, though. Kings Warriors has been my favorite series so far. Very evenly matched. I know that, Sacramento won the first 2 games, but after 3 games, I believe the point differential has been like 6 points. It's been a very, very even series, even with Golden State winning comfortably in game 3. So you definitely love to see that. And just the competitiveness as in the West is wide open. The West is super wide open. The East, this first round, you're like, let's get through this first round. Outside of the Cavs and Knicks series, like, all right, let's just get through this first round and get there. And as far as the injuries, there's a big thing that happened because both injuries happened on the same day with Ja Morant and Giannis. They both happened on plays where players were trying to take charges. So I've never thought about it before as far as should the charge be changed? Should that be something that should be changed? And I thought about, I was like, with today's NBA and how athletic players are, you can never ban the charge because offensive fouls are part of the game and that should be part of defense. But what I do think should happen is that the restricted area should be moved up so that you have to take that charge at a higher point before people are trying to take off and dunk. Because athletes they're so athletic now. If you move it up, now you have less risk of you trying to take that charge underneath somebody in the air and you're taking it in the chest as they get ready to go up instead of them already being in the air. So I think that's one thing that they could look at changing. And it's because the athletes today are just so good. Like Ja Morant was so high on that play when Anthony Davis tried to take that charge. He came down on his hand. That doesn't happen if it's a little farther up. So my big takeaway is from the first round, Kings Warriors is the best series so far. And as far as the injuries, hopefully we get Kawhi back. Kawhi's one of my favorite players. I love those two-way guys, him, Drew Holiday, Jimmy Butler. Those are my favorite players. But Kawhi, man, it's just so sad. Like you just want – he balled out the first 2 games, like absolutely balled out and reminded you why you're like, okay, this is one of the top 75 players of all time. But then he's hurt again, and Paul George is already out. So now you got Russell Westbrook out there trying to rekindle that old Russell Westbrook. He's like,
trying to be that OKC Russ.
Yeah, like now I'm out here by myself again. So you just hate to see that. But the West is wide open. That makes it really, really exciting.
Yeah, the West is wide open, and my favorite series too is the Warriors Kings. You kind of knew once the Warriors they went down 0-2, and that's the first time in Steph Curry in his career he was down 0-2, which is crazy to say. When I saw that stat, I was telling my wife, I was like, "Wait, he's never been down 0-2 in a series. Now they've been down 3-1, things like that." But it's like, wow, okay. So I kind of knew he's going to take the team on his back, and that's what he did because that's just who he is, a superstar at the highest level. So I've been really enjoying that. But you said the injuries have taken over this playoffs. As you said, you got Ja Morant, you got Giannis Antetokounmpo, you have Kawhi again, and Paul George is out now. Joel Embiid said sprained ankle, he's sitting out now. It could have been one of those things where Joel Embiid did that flagrant foul, and he's like, well, even though I didn't get suspended, maybe I'll just sit out anyway. I know he twisted his ankle and things like that. Maybe I'll just sit out just because, and we're up 3-0. And
they should take the rest.
Let me get some rest, and we need to finish. We need to finish the series quickly. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, even Joel Embiid. I mean, there's just been so many big names injured. I think Steven Adams, he's out, and from Memphis.
That's big for Memphis. That's one of the reasons I picked the Lakers in that series is that they don't have any size to stop Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis should be so dominant in this series the way he was in game 1. Game 2, some reason wasn't that same aggressive Anthony Davis that the Lakers need. But if he's the same one from game one and the one he was during the regular season, Anthony Davis against Memphis averaged like 29 points a game and 20 rebounds.
Yeah,
Like he was very dominant against the Grizzlies. They have no answer for him.
yeah, they don't. They really don't. And I know like I said, the West is. I know we got Denver. They're running away with against Minnesota, so that'll probably be a sweep as well. And yeah, the Warriors Kings. I think that's going 7. I picked the Warriors. I got the Warriors going to the finals, so I got to stick with from our predictions from the beginning of the year. So I got to stick with that. But other than that, it looks like the West is wide open. The Knicks and Cavs series has been oddly, it's been very entertaining because when Madison Square Garden's rocking like that, it's crazy. Like it's so loud, it's so big, and New York fans they just are passionate and they love it, and it's good to see when New York is rocking like that. And to the way they played defense against Cleveland and shut them down yesterday. I think Cleveland scored 80 points, 70. They had 70 something points yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was 99 to 70, something like that.
Yeah. 99, 79, something like that. Yeah, so that's old school Knicks series type of Knicks.
Like a game in 1995.
Yeah, 95. Yeah, we took it back to that. So it's the East has been. I hope Giannis comes back. I'm not sure. They know he's questionable. But I think they need him. They definitely need him, even though they blew out Miami.
Yeah. They can get past the Heat without him, but the next series they definitely need him for sure.
Yeah, they definitely need him because that'll be that 4-5 matchup, which would be Knicks or Cavs. So we'll see what happens. I know Atlanta just beat Boston to make that a little bit interesting. I think Boston should take care of business probably at 5 or 6. They'll still take care of business. But let's talk about that Draymond Green suspension. I know there's been a lot of chatter. Like the last day, the next day, with the suspension. Some people said he shouldn't have been suspended. Others said the flagrant was warranted, ejection warranted. That should have been it. They waited till like almost midnight to make a decision and everything too. I think when they made it that late, I said they should have just said, okay, with the fine and the kicking him out of the game was enough. I know you had said about he should have definitely been suspended because he stomped on him and everything too. I think what got him suspended, the stomp itself, flagrant, too, he's out. But I feel like the antics afterwards actually got him suspended for the one game. The commissioner, he was in the stands. Adam Silver, he was in the stands and he's waving to the crowd like he's Hulk Hogan and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, the commissioner's just sitting there like just taking notes and everything. But I think that got him getting into it with the crowd and getting to the rest. I think that's what actually some more suspended than the stomp. But what was your take on Draymond, and do you think he deserved that suspension for one game?
Yeah, the reason I say he deserved a suspension is that I feel like he could have avoided stepping on him. When you watch it, Sabonis definitely grabbed him, right? That's a foul.
He instigated it. Yep.
Yeah, that's a foul. He grabbed him. You can say a technical foul or a flagrant one, right? Mm-hmm. For him grabbing his leg. Definitely wrong. But it still had the intention of affecting basketball, right? Because he's on the ground. He doesn't want Draymond to go forward and to initiate a fast break. Stepping on somebody is outside the bounds of basketball. That's no longer you trying to affect the game. You got frustrated and decided to step on him. Because once he gets his leg free, he has the option to try to jump over him, try to step to the side, and he stepped on him. It wasn't, some people are trying to paint it as if once he got his leg free, he could no longer control it and he just stepped down. Even if he, at that point, was off balance, he wouldn't have stepped down that hard. He was very balanced when he did it. Like he did it, he stepped on him and then jumped off of him. Like he had very good balance
right.
to do it. So it wasn't as if he couldn't control his body at that point. Draymond's a very good athlete. We might make fun of his offensive game and all that stuff. He's a very good athlete and can control his balance at that point and could have jumped over him if he wanted to make that decision. He decided to step on him. And you could tell because there was no type of, anytime I played basketball my whole life, anytime I've done something on accident where I could have hurt somebody, my first reaction is, oh my God, let me check on them and make sure they're good. I didn't mean to do that. Like I've accidentally poked somebody in the eye trying to get the ball. And my first, oh, I'm so sorry, I poked you in the
Yeah.
eye. Or,
Right.
good. Like the first initial reaction is to try to make sure that person's okay. Draymond stepped on him, jumped over him, and walked away. Like he wasn't,
Like he didn't do anything, right?
yeah, he
Step on
wasn't,
him and then like, oh, okay, I'm gone. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just running like, oh, I didn't just do that.
yeah. So it wasn't a part of, even if he would have tried to act like it was an accident, that probably would have helped him. Because it'd be like, okay, maybe it was accidental, but there was no accidental about it. He purposely tried to step on his chest. So the fact that it was intentional, to me, is where it crosses the line of just being a flagrant two. Because now you're talking about, oh, you intentionally tried to step on it, like you stumped on this man, and then the part that's being not talked about enough is he jumped off of him, like he put all his weight.
He propelled his way. Yes, propelled
Yeah,
himself. Like launched himself from his chest.
yes. So all 240 pounds of Draymond Green was on this man's chest, and he jumped off. And
Yeah.
people try to act like he faked being hurt. Like, no, that really hurts. Like if you like that really, like I've been on a football field and unfortunately getting run over and stepped on in that type of way. It hurts. It hurts a lot. Yeah. So I think that the suspension was warranted because of that. And then when you bring in his history of him kicking people in the place where he don't shine, and him poking people in the eye, and all things that he's done in playoff games, you got to be like, okay, Draymond, I can see why the league would suspend you.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like you said, people have they're trying to say, well, he did. And you're right. He looked. I mean, the way he did. Okay, Sabonis grabbed his foot, so he instigated it. But then Draymond, trying to get his foot loose, trying to get away from him. But then he looked at him, and then he stomped on him, like you said, stepped on him, and launched himself over his legs. So as much as people, like you said, most people trying to justify, well, all he did was he got loose and he jumped over. No, if that was the case, he could have got loose and you said and went away from him, just stepped away from him. He didn't have to stomp on him and then launch himself from his chest and then jump over him. Like, yeah, Draymond knew what he was doing. You said he's had a history, and I know there's been talk about, well, we should put it, his history. Yes, it is a case by case, but once you get that label, somebody has said this, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said once you get that label, I think Tim Levitt said, once you get that label on yourself as a dirty player or a player that is placed to the edge, to the line, it sticks with you throughout your career. So Draymond, as you said, he's had these antics before where he hit somebody, like I said, in the groin area, or he poked somebody in the eye, or he elbowed someone. He has a thing of kicking when he's down, kind of what Joel Embiid just did in the Claxton, the same thing. But Embiid's not much of a dirty player, but Draymond, I mean, he's dirty. He can be dirty. He can do that, and he loves the villain. He loves being a villain. He embraces it. I don't know how much the Warriors are going to tolerate it anymore because they just showed that they can actually win without him, but they need him. They need his his intangibles.
Yeah,
and
his defense matters so much for what they do, for sure.
And he can really contain as much as possible Sabonis, and they definitely need him through these championship runs. He's been a big part of their championship runs, and if they're trying to win again, he needs to be a part of that. But you got to be, he toes that line, he goes over it so many times. So he cost him a finals before. I just hope he does. He just thinks like, okay, let me step back. And I know guys like Curry and probably Clay and Steve Kerr have talked to him about it. So he'll be fine for a game or two, and then he'll get back to his thing, what he loves to do. He's an antagonist. I mean, you love him when he's on your team, but you don't like him when he's not on your team. So I don't know how much the Warriors are going to take him.
Yeah, and every team needs a player like that. Every team needs that player who goes to the edge and is willing to be the guy who's not liked by other teams. Right? Memphis has Dylan Brooks. The Pelicans have Jose Alvarado. Like they all have players. Everybody needs a player like that.
Yeah.
But the difference is with certain players, they know not to go like past a certain point. Like with Jose Alvarado, he's going to annoy you. He's going to be a pest, right? People hate when he does the thing where he hides on the side and then he sneaks up and steals the ball from you and goes and gets the like. People hate that type of stuff, but it's still all that stuff is still legal. It's still within the bounds of basketball. So I think that when Draymond, he gets to the point where he's no longer the elite defender he was when they went on their initial championship run, right? He's still very good, but he's no longer that guy. So he has to get to a certain point as far as being an antagonist to get in other players' heads. You saw it last year against Boston in the finals. He wasn't
Yeah,
able to really stop Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, those guys, but he was able to get under their skin a little bit. And
yep.
maybe that being under their skin affects him just a little bit in a certain moment. And that's the difference with Draymond Green.
Yeah, you're right. Teams know what he's going to do. Teams
Yeah.
know what he's capable of doing, and he's going to do it. So he's trying to get in Sabonis's head, and he went physical with Sabonis. You
Yeah.
got guys like Patrick Beverly. He does the same thing.
Yeah.
Dellavedova, he was another
Yeah.
one. He used to get under people's skin.
Yeah.
So I can see these guys, like Draymond. Hopefully, he like I said, he's on his decent behavior. And they just
Yeah.
said he's too old to know I can't do these things no more. That's Draymond, because if he's not affecting the game with his defense, so you said, or with his rebounding or anything like that, and his intangibles, if he's not affecting the game like he did in game 2, he was basically a no-show. Game 1, he played well. Game 2, he just wasn't playing well. So he has to go to other things where he
Yeah.
goes into his bag of tricks and said, okay, let me now. Yeah, this time he was the instigator. He wasn't the instigator. Sabonis was the instigator, but
Yeah.
this time he just he just got caught and he stomped on a man's chest, and now he had Sabonis playing with a bruised sternum. So people say it doesn't hurt, man. Let someone stomp on your chest, 240 pounds, stomp on your chest, 6'8", 240 pounds, stomp on your
Yeah.
chest. Let me see what that feels like. He stone cold stomped him. That's what he was doing.
Exactly. Must say, yeah.
He was stone cold stomping him.
Stuff the mud hole dry.
Mud hole in him. Yeah, like he says, stomping a mud hole in him. So shout out to Ben Sutter. Thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate it. As always. So, all right, last one. I want to talk a little NFL. We got the draft coming up this Thursday. Always looking forward to the draft and everything too. What's your just a quick overview? I mean, there's so many players. I ain't gonna go there break down every single player, but what's your take on the quarterback goes first? We got a lot of teams up at the top that need QBs, but what's your take on this group of players coming into the draft?
I think it's the first few picks going to be definitely quarterback heavy, but then the first round overall is going to be very cornerback heavy. There's a lot of really good cornerbacks in this draft, and I can see they've been rumors of maybe 6-7 cornerbacks going in the first round, which would be unprecedented. So very QB heavy to start, but then a lot of defense throughout the rest of the first round. This year, they say like wide receivers are kind of a weak class this year.
Yeah.
Running backs have been very like people have been very wary of taking running backs in the first round, but I do believe we'll have one. Bijan Robinson. I did a Bijan Robinson like rabbit hole deep, like just YouTube highlights of him, and I was like, yo, this is a first round running back. Like if there's no longer a thing of a first round running back, this guy has brought that back, right? Because he's that special. I would love for your Eagles to get him at 10.
Me too.
I would love to see that happen because him in that offense would be special. It would be special to see him in that offense.
Oh my goodness. That's like music to my ears. And I know Howie Roseman, he just came out and said that we have no problem taking a running back first round at that 10th pick, but the Eagles always they got 2 first round picks, but if they usually go from the offensive line or defensive line. They always use more normally use their first round pick. So they always look at the trenches every single time. And I know they're going to need some defensive linemen help as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
lost from San Francisco, right?
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to need a couple more bodies, even though we're bringing people, up from last year. Jordan Davis is one of them. Like, I mean, he's a big body, so we still got him coming up too. But I know they want to still get younger. I know they brought back Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, but they got Josh Sweat on the other end too. But they still like to get younger, so I can see them getting a defensive tackle or defensive lineman at the top too. But you're right. I think it is a lot of corners, a lot of cornerbacks in that first round. But yeah, the top. Probably 4 from the top 5 is going to be probably 3-4 quarterbacks. Top 6 I'm looking at. So if you're Carolina, who do you go with? CJ Stroud or Bryce Young?
That's tough, man. That's tough. Bryce Young has everything. except
Yeah.
size, right?
Yep.
Like he
Yep.
does everything well, makes all the plays, all the throws, is very mobile, but he's very, very small. And even smaller than the other small quarterbacks we've seen before, right? Because with someone like a Drew Brees was shorter, but he was also stockier and built. Like I've stood next to Drew Brees, I was like, oh, I didn't know he was that swole. Okay, I can see
Yeah.
how he's able to take the punishment he takes. Someone like even Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a stockier guy who's built to take that punishment. Even Kyler Murray, even though he's small, he still has a little bit of muscle to him. With
Mhm.
Bryce, he's short and skinny. And so when you put that combination together, you're like, oh, is he going to be able to take the hits? When that 340-pound dude gets through the line and
Yeah.
hits him and lands on him, probably gets a flag, but when he lands on him, is he going to get up? That's going to be the question. So that's a big thing. But if you're going just on ability, I would go Bryce Young first. But CJ Stroud is also a special talent that if they take him first, I wouldn't be shocked. Uh, so honestly, out of those two, I would go Bryce. But if you go CJ, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, me either. And then I think the Texans, whoever falls to them, will pick the next
Yeah.
quarterback. So either one, I'll probably take Bryce Young too. I just think, as you said, he has everything except for the size. I mean, that's the only
Yeah.
thing um, that's holding him back. But he's going to be a top two quarterback, so I don't think you go wrong with either one. You said
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud, very accurate, and a lot of good. I mean, he can improvise. He just showed some of that, and when he was in Ohio State. But
Mhm.
I think this Bryce Young, that the talent and is super accurate too. It's just one of those, and he plays with so much composure too. It's like just the breakdown of that. But it's, I think the size is the only difference between the two for me. So either one, I think they're gonna go 1 and 2. You got Anthony Richardson. I mean, this
Yeah.
guy, big arm, and just a little bit of inexperience. I mean, he's just super inexperienced, but size and arm strength and
Yeah. All the physical
speed.
tools
Yeah, all
when
the
you're
physical
working
tools,
with
right?
him. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Mechanics and
Yes.
knowing the game. That's all those
Mhm.
things you have to really take into account with him. Like you can't just get overwhelmed by the physical talent because
Yeah,
this
we've
isn't
seen that.
cross. Yeah, it isn't CrossFit. You have to get out there and hit the passes and make the right plays and be able to
Yep.
read defenses and all that good stuff. So it's gonna be very interesting to see where he goes, if he plays right away or if they try to sit him for a year so he gets that chance. Because that's what people forget about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes basically set his whole first season and learned
Mhm.
from Alex Smith. Because you go back and watch Patrick Mahomes in college, his mechanics were all over the place,
Yeah.
but you can tell that he had that natural talent, like I talked about earlier, where he could just flick the ball 50 yards. So because he's so physically talented, he was able to get away with that in college. In the NFL, everyone on that field is talented. So now
Yeah.
you have to combine your talent with the right mechanics and reading defenses and studying and all that good stuff.
Yeah. You're right. It's like you said, guys like him, Jalen Hurts. I mean,
Yeah.
those are two quarterbacks that was in the Super Bowl this past season. So Jalen Hurts, he sat, and it took him a little bit, but I mean, he just had to just had to learn and continue to,
Yeah.
to develop as a passer. He's still developing as a passer. He made a tremendous jump, but he still is developing, and he's only going to get better. And you say Patrick Holmes, he's the best player in football. So
Yeah.
that's no debate. But like I said, learning from Alex Smith definitely helped him develop to who he is as well. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, see, he got the big contract
Yeah.
and everything, and I know you and Nikki was talking about this past week and everything. I'm excited that they got him on a 5 year deal, and he's setting the market again for quarterbacks. And now Joe Burrow's up, so and then you got Lamar Jackson. But where do you think with this Jalen Hurts contract and the Eagles paying him that type of money now? What does it do for the rest of the QB market? And I want to get your take on Lamar Jackson. Do you feel like is he going to be in Baltimore in your opinion, or he's trying like he wants 200 million guaranteed, and I don't know if he's going to get that. I really don't. But
Yeah.
what do you think of that whole thing now that Hurst got guaranteed money? But what do you think now about Lamar and now then Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert? Those guys now where they see their numbers.
Yeah, like if you are, Herbert, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, any of these
Trevor
guys who are
Lawrence.
coming up
Yep.
soon, you're looking at that like, yes, cha-ching, Yes, we're about
Yeah.
to get paid. We're about to get broke
170
off.
million,
Sure.
180 million guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah. For Lamar Jackson, I don't know if there was a certain point where he's like, okay, I'm not getting a fully guaranteed contract. That's not going to happen. The Deshaun Watson deal was a once in a lifetime type deal or a once in a generation type deal. That's not going to happen for me right now. And then you back up to what's next. And now with the Jalen Hurts deal, he could say, okay, I want this same deal. Maybe he personally believes he's better than Jalen Hurts, which is an argument that he can make. Right? He can make that argument. And you're like, okay, if you personally believe you're better than Jalen Hurts, we'll give you 255 and 185 guaranteed or
Right.
190 guaranteed, something like that. And a lot of people talk about the Deshaun Watson deal, but I think another deal that really threw this off was Kyler Murray's deal.
Yes.
Kyler
Yes.
Murray got overpaid for sure. So if you're Lamar Jackson, you're looking at Kyler Murray's deal, like, I'm way better than Kyler Murray. I got to get more than that. And the Ravens are like, okay, we know you're better than Kyler Murray, but the Cardinals were stupid. We don't want to pay that much because they weren't supposed to pay that much to him.
Yeah.
But I think there were a couple of deals that threw off the market that put Lamar Jackson in his position. I do think it'll be better if he did have an agent because
Yeah.
not from the process of him not being able to do it. I believe he's very intelligent. He can negotiate a contract. It's not from that process or that perspective. It's from the perspective of you don't want to have to deal with the dirty work of it, right? A lot of times with the agent, when I hear from agents, me and Nikki had an agent on the show a few weeks back, is that when they're talking to the teams, they're not going to bring an offer to the player until it's a respectable offer that they know the player won't be offended by. And with the player negotiating directly with the team, he's getting those insulting offers right away. So now he's personally insulted because he's getting those bad offers to start with instead of somebody having the middleman to say, okay, I'm not even going to bring that to Lamar because that's a dumb offer. Bring another one to me. So instead of having that middle guy to say, okay, we're still working it out. This is what the best offer is going to be. We're not going to take anything below this. You have Lamar Jackson, who I'm pretty sure he has people that he talks to, but he's ultimately saying, I just want this. And maybe there's no budge with him. And if you had that middleman or middlewoman to say, okay, what about having this budge where you can take this amount, but we're not going to go below this at all? I think that's what's really causing it. But so we're doing our mock draft on Rush Hour on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we're having George Teague on. So I have some surprises that I think are going to happen in the first round that may involve Lamar Jackson moving to a different place. So it's a little tease on what I think might happen on Thursday on the draft. We'll see, because we've done this for a couple of years now. And I've had some really good predictions. Like I predicted the Bears would move up to get Justin Fields. So I've had some pretty good ones. So hopefully I had some tricks up my sleeve this time. Hopefully I get them right.
Okay. Again, looking forward to it. But yeah, I 100% agree about the Lamar Jackson. And I think, as you said, two things. I think with the Cleveland Browns getting Deshaun Watson, like I said, that was like a once in a lifetime type of thing because they were so desperate. And that organization and, that front office, like they just were desperate. They said, okay, we're going to give Deshaun Watson whatever he wants. So $230 million guaranteed. That I think that's where it's people are not really talking about, but it's just they were a desperate organization with a desperate front office. They was going to give him whatever. So when he got that deal, people probably the quarterbacks like, oh, they're giving because the owners don't want to do that. They do not. No, they do not want to offer $250 million guarantee to anybody. They don't care who it is. It'd be Tom Brady. It's like if anybody, he would have got that, but they don't want to do that. So they're like, okay, what's the next best thing? And I think with Lamar Jackson, he wants that 200 plus or more. Not saying he doesn't deserve it because he's one of the top 5-6 quarterbacks in the league, former MVP, super talented. Not saying that, but I think you're right. I think him not having representation is hurting him more than it's helping him. Jalen Hurts has shout out to Nicole Lynn. I hope she's watching because I've been trying to get her on the show for the last couple of years.
Well, you gotta come on and let Courtney interview you, Nicole.
Yes, Agent Nicole Lynn. I love all of what she does and what she represents and things like that. But she represents Jalen Hurts, and big shout out to her. Like I said, getting this deal done for him and quickly because the Eagles were like, "Look, we're going to pay Jalen Hurts." They said it right at the Super Bowl. We are going to get our guy. We're gonna pay.
Very
him.
smart.
And I knew it. They just had to hash out the the logistics of the contract, and they did 179 million guaranteed, 255 million. I mean, that's just, I mean, it's great. He said he set the market again. So all the others are like, oh, like you said, they're going to like, oh, 180. Okay, that could be the starting point. Lamar not representing himself, or they said his mother's representing him, cousin calling teams. It's like, I think I was talking to someone. We were saying, how in the world did like these people get numbers of the GMs and everything, and he's calling these people like. How does that work? And they're not going to take you. They're not going to take it seriously. Now, their teams like the Colts and the Texans and the Panthers, they should be on the phone trying to get Lamar Jackson. Like, look, we want to trade for Lamar Jackson, and I don't know if it's true, but Baltimore already had offered him 180 million guaranteed money. There's been that rumor, and he turned it down. I don't know what's true or what's not, but I'm sure Baltimore's offered something. And Lamar's like,
not to cut you off, Courtney. That's another thing. Lamar, I don't think has been vocal enough.
Yeah, right.
In this situation, because we don't know. The only thing I've seen that I guess we could confirm is that he got the initial contract offer with 133 guaranteed, which I said he shouldn't have took. Right? There's no way he should have took 133 million guaranteed because Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson all got way more than that. Yeah. So there's no way he can take that. If he would have took that, not only was that bad for him, but it's bad for other quarterbacks. So he can't take that. But we don't know what the other offers have been. He's only come out every once in a while and tweeted something or said this wasn't an offer. Like, he needs to do like an interview. Go sit down with somebody. Sit down with Courtney Harden, or sit down if it's not Courtney Harden. Go on First Take. Go do something where you can tell your side of the story.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's true. Like, if he, like I said, he's just said that they never offered me anything. He said that, like, one thing he said, and being quiet, sometimes it works, but a lot of times it doesn't. Like, if you're trying to get money, you're trying to get a guaranteed contract, and said, okay, I want to be in Baltimore, or they trade me. That's the only thing he's really said. And Baltimore's not budging on anything. Let's just, like I said, if it's an offer that someone's actually willing to do, and it could happen in the draft. It could. It's a big possibility he could be moved in the draft. Just kind of like when Aaron Rodgers, I think it's going to happen at the draft. They're going to get draft picks and all that. That's a foregone conclusion that he should be a Jet. But I just don't know. I mean, Lamar.
Why is that taking so long?
Yeah,
we all know.
We all know, right?
We all know, like, this has to happen. Like, there's no going back at this point. Like, the analogy I made is that dinner has been fixed. Like, it's all on the table, and everybody's just waiting to eat. So there's one person in the bathroom that we waiting on. Like, just go ahead and eat. Like, once they come out, they'll understand that we was hungry. Like, just go ahead and make the deal happen and eat the food. Because no one else is going. Like, if this doesn't go through. Like, if somehow Aaron Rodgers goes to a different team or is stuck on the Packers when the season starts, this will go down as one of the biggest just fumbles of all time.
Ever.
Because the Jets can't go back to Zach Wilson. They can't. No. Like, there's no way they can go back to Zach Wilson. I never got it why the Jets were so set on Aaron Rodgers when there's a 26-year-old former MVP quarterback just dangling in the wind. And Lamar Jackson.
I'm here.
Like, you're stuck on 40-year-old. He's gonna be 40 before the season starts. 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and the thing is, the money you're gonna pay Aaron Rodgers is gonna be similar to the money you're going to pay Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is gonna have a longer term contract, of course, but it's similar money. Yeah. So I don't get the hold up on why the Jets were so set on Aaron Rodgers. Like, they've done this before with Brett Favre. It didn't work out. Like, why was this such a set thing to have? I don't understand.
I don't understand either, but you're right. This would be the biggest. It's the Jets' butt fumble like they did, with Mark saying it would be that type of thing. It's just the Jets. Like, it's like they said, we talked about the Cleveland Browns. No disrespect. I hope nobody at me at Cleveland Brown fans. And it's just the way the organization is. It's just certain organizations, the Jets, the Browns, the front office is. They're so in disarray most of the time. Is you're never surprised at some of the moves. So we know it's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers has been going on Pat McAfee's show. He literally said, "I am going to be a New York Jet." We're just waiting for the Packers and the Jets to for the logistics to iron those out. It's like, how many first round picks you guys want? What are the picks you want for this. It's like, come on, we know what's going to happen. He said, we're just waiting for that dinner. I love that analogy. You just wait for that person to like, we've been waiting for an hour for you to come to eat. No, we're going to eat, and
Yeah.
you just have to be mad. But we're going to eat. We're hungry. It's 7 o'clock at night. We've been waiting for a couple of hours till you get here, and now no, we're hungry, or we're going home, or we're just going to be like, okay, forget it. We'll just go somewhere else and go eat. So,
yeah. Exactly. Like, and that's the thing. The Jets have somewhere else to eat. They have another restaurant they can go to in Lamar Jackson and say, all right, you come here. You're going to appreciate the food we have. We have everything for you. And imagine Lamar Jackson with that defense and the weapons that they have already on offense.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, it would be amazing to see. But for some reason, they were like, we got to get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is amazing. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, top 10 quarterback of all time. Amazing. But all of that is what he's done, not what he will do. And with Lamar Jackson, we have a 26-year-old who could become top 10 all time, who could become a first ballot Hall of Famer in your system and with your team. Like, Aaron Rodgers goes to Hall of Fame. He's going in as a Packer, not as a Jet. So you have a chance to get a guy who can be an all-time great for your team, not just a 1-year hope he still has something left in the tank. That's what this is, a hope, right? Because Aaron Rodgers is coming off a down year. So you're hoping that you can rejuvenate him and that he's motivated and that he has this left in him. And he might just, like, don't let Tom Brady fool you. Most people at 40 years old don't have it left in them to be a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I think that's what everybody's looking at, the Tom Brady model of, oh, I can play till I'm 45, I can play till I'm 46. He said Aaron Rodgers had a down year. And then, yes, he's a couple of years removed from back-to-back MVPs. Yes, get all that. And he said always, he's still one of the top quarterbacks. He's still one of the best players in the league. But you're just like I said, it's a 1-year hope, maybe 2. He might squeeze out 2 more years, maybe. But him going to the AFC and that gauntlet of teams he's got to go through, the Josh Allens and the Patrick Mahomes and the Joe Burrow, like, he's got to go through these guys. Like, it's not going to be easy. So where he in the NFC, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, now Jalen Hurts now, but he didn't have to deal with those type of quarterbacks. Now he's gonna go there. I mean, best of luck to him. But he said with a good defense and those weapons, can Aaron Rodgers have one of those years? Yes, he can. He definitely can. He's still an elite quarterback, but he had a down year. He had a big down year. So I don't know if that's for the age. It's going to be physical skills are just is not there anymore, or it's took a dip. It could be a lot of different things, but they struggled. I mean, they struggled out the gate. They got hot, and then they lost that last game to Detroit. So, and he didn't look good again. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting. This draft is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. See what all these teams do. Get this new crop of talent in the NFL. So, Damian, man, my real deal brother, man. Really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, it's been too long. We definitely got to do this again much sooner and everything too. So I really appreciate you jumping on and taking the time. We went at a full hour, over an hour. We could have went even more. But let everyone know where they can actually follow you and the podcast and you said your articles. I mean, you've been busy. You very active on social media, which I enjoy that. But let everyone know they can follow you in the podcast.
Thank you again for having me on, man. It's always a joy to talk to you about sports, boxing, football, basketball, and we can go in depth on all three. And I love doing that with you.
Thank you.
And so for me, you can follow me on social media at The Real Deal WDA. That's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha on all social media platforms. I'm mostly active on Twitter. I just find it easier to just let my thoughts go and then put my videos up there on Twitter, but also Instagram and TikTok as well, with The Real Deal WDA, and you'll get a lot of good content. You'll get articles, you'll get reaction videos, you'll get preview videos. Sometimes you'll just get a random video. Sometimes I'll be watching NBA Today and Kendrick Perkins will say something crazy, and I'll do a video about that. So you'll always get something from me on social media. My podcast is called The Real Deal with Damian Adams, which I usually do on either Sunday nights or Monday mornings. So you'll get it on Monday each and every week. And it's me talking about boxing, NFL, NBA in depth. And I like to go and connected to other things. So like when you hear me talking about these things, you'll hear my analogies of like people not being able to eat their food, being hella stranded by
Yeah,
one person being late and stuff like that. And on my podcast, you'll get music. Sometimes you'll get background music when I'm talking. You'll get music breaks. So some days it depends on how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes you'll get some rock music. Some days you'll get classic hip hop. Most days you get classic hip hop. Most days you get classic 90s hip hop. I'm a big 90s guy. But sometimes every once in a while, like my last episode, you got some rock music in there. Every once I'm gonna switch it up, but you'll get different music breaks in there on The Real Deal with Damian Adams. And Rush does a lot of different things. Just subscribe to the Giants guys, and you'll get the Giants guys if you're a Giants fan, but also a lot more than Giants. Rush Hour, you'll get a lot of fancy football talk on Rush Hour, some basketball talk. You'll get some boxing talk from me. Great guests. We have George Teague, former Dallas Cowboy, coming on this Wednesday to do the mock draft with us. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've done shows with him before, so he's very comfortable with us, and also is somebody who's not scared to give his opinion. He's not somebody who's looking for, the big time ESPN job where he's scared to say what he's going to say. If he's going to get it, he's going to say it the way he's going to say it. And that's what you got to love about somebody like that. He's going to say what he has to say, and then he's going to deal with that from that standpoint. So I love having George Teague on. So yeah, Rush, just follow Rush, and you'll be able to get all the stuff on YouTube and on Twitter as well. The Real Deal WDA and my podcast, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. And I definitely will be having my Real Deal brother Courtney Harden on soon for sure.
No doubt. Looking forward to chopping it up and all the podcasts. So everyone follow Damian on all social media and the podcast and as well. And this episode will be I really enjoyed always, and this episode will be up shortly. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on Google and Apple, and it'll be on my social media and Roku. That's where you can get a lot of it too. The Roku TV, BS3 TV app. So download that. And so that's a wrap for the show. Again, appreciate Damian as always for jumping on. Really, really appreciate it, man. And until next time, we will be doing this again. And thanks to everyone. Until next time, everyone stay safe, enjoy the weekend, and peace. God bless.